Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Got it.
Okay, so everybody knows the meeting is being recorded. And we're going to start off with our first guest speaker, and it's Michael. And Michael, I might be pronouncing your last name wrong. Is it McKeaton?
No, it's Mechaton.
It's Mechaton. Thank you very much. Michael is a clinical licensed social worker and works with our WellSpan Behavioral Health Services, and has a passion for reaching out and providing support and tools that we may find very helpful. So I'm going to hand this over to Michael to lead us from here.
All right, thank you, Shinda. Oh, so as Shendel said, I'm a licensed clinical social worker. I work at WellSpan Behavioral Health, and it's a pleasure to be here. My goals for today were probably overly ambitious. So I might go too fast. If it's going too fast, just like slow me down, give me like a hands up sign or something like that. There are going to be two parts of this meeting. I'm going to open, as I often like to open a group process, with a mindfulness exercise. The mindfulness exercise has two goals for me, which one is to quiet our minds, to help us settle our minds into this meeting, and the second one is to put us in a place where we can start developing insights about where we are in this moment, right? Being fully present in the here and now. The second part is what I call a well-being inventory. And the well-being inventory is just a structure to assess our strengths and our challenges, and making really small bite-sized goals towards healing, towards creating new strength, and to identify supports who can help us make those changes. So the first rule of mindfulness with me is that you should be comfortable. And if I say anything later on that you're not comfortable with, ignore it and be comfortable. So comfort is first. And I'm going to say things that won't be comfortable for everyone. So everyone will have a better passageway for breathing if their back is straighter, but not everyone's comfortable with their back straight up. And so rule number one is be comfortable. So we want to set a good foundation, which means if your feet are on the ground, uncross your legs and put your feet to the ground in a way that you can feel the ground beneath your feet. And to the extent possible, think about making right angles. So your lower leg rises up from your feet and your upper leg is parallel to the ground, and your pelvis is held in such a way that your spine can be perpendicular to your upper legs, and your chin is parallel to the ground, and the crown of your head is lifting to the sky as if a string were pulling it. And then from this posture, without giving up that good foundation, adopt a relaxed but dignified body posture. So let gravity do its thing. If you feel comfortable, let your eyes come to a close. And if you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, have a fixed stare downward, mostly closed, looking out through the bottom of your eyes. And your first job is to notice that you're a human being with a body. And start noticing your body. And you have a body that's sitting and connecting to a chair or some other object, or the chair and your feet are connecting to the floor. And start being aware of the force of gravity pulling your body downward. And then the opposite of that, start noticing your body being supported. Your body is supported by the chair and by extension the earth. This is an opportunity to be grateful for a moment that we have bodies, and that if we've brought our bodies to this moment, more is going right with our bodies than is going wrong. The next task is to notice that you're a breathing person. And without changing a thing, just notice that you have a breath and that your breath has a quality. And that from day to day, the quality of your breath changes. And from breath to breath, it changes. That sometimes we breathe and it's smooth and long. And sometimes it's choppy or short, and sometimes it goes all the way down to your toes, and sometimes it stops right on the other side of your nose. And with this attention to what's happening to your breath in the moment, take a deep breath in and let it go. And another breath in. And let it go. And if you find those deep breaths are helping you, then just keep on doing that. Otherwise, you can just restore your normal breathing pattern. Paying attention to the sensation of the breath coming in and the breath going out. We'll take 3 more breaths. Breathe in. Breathe out. That's 1. Breathe in. Breathe out. 2. Breathe in. Breathe out. And that's 3. And when you feel comfortable, return your focus to the room, open your eyes, and come back. And usually when I do a mindfulness exercise, I like there to be a little feedback and participation. I don't know that we have time for everybody, but maybe one or two people can talk about what you noticed about the breathing. Any volunteers? Would someone unmute Laura, please?
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I find that when I do these relaxation exercises, particularly with the breathing, the tension in my neck muscles, and that's where I carry a lot of my tension, it starts to alleviate. And when it really, if I go home and I find that I'm really tense in my neck, I will start to do this, and it really does help. And it really did help right now. Just doing this little piece really did help.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. So I'm going to move on now to this well-being inventory. And there was a copy of this on the Zoom invitation. And mostly I'd like that to be there for you to use later. If you want to follow along, you can feel free. I'm going to prompt you, but I'm going to prompt you for an internal process. If you want to write it down, you certainly can. We're going to focus on 4 parts of your life. And you could break this down 4, 5, 10, 20. Creative people can come up with endless parts of their life to divide into. But we're going to artificially divide into 4, and we're going to identify what's going right and what we would like to add to the list. So I'm going to give you maybe a minute or so and just start thinking about your body and identify some things about your body that you're very happy about, that you're very grateful for, that are meeting your needs right now. And they could be parts of your body or physical experiences. So it could be, I like my legs. It could be, I like jogging in the morning. Just, there's no wrong answer, however you do it. So we're identifying some of the things that are going right with our body today. Is there anyone still working on this? Okay. So the next thing we'd like to think about is, what would we like to add to that list? Is there something that with a little bit of effort or a little bit of help from somebody, we're not loving about what our body's doing yet, but we could in, let's say, 3 months, if we started doing something differently. I've had the experience on October 7th, I'm getting blood work for my annual physical. And like most people, I desperately don't want to take a statin for cholesterol or anything for diabetes. And the doctor has been scaring me the last few years about my numbers. And so I've been trying to be good for about a month with the goal of influencing my numbers for that blood test. And that's a doable goal. Nice one might be, I would like to not be so tired. So, so just like Laura did with the mindfulness, does anyone want to volunteer any of their process of identifying what's working and what could be a little bit better? Okay. So I would like you to look at the list of things that you would like to add to your list of strengths, your list of what's working. And start identifying tiny, tiny steps you could take towards getting that goal, right? So for my blood test, I need more good cholesterol. My good cholesterol number is too low. And we walk at lunch. I don't know if you know our Coldbrook office here, WellSpan Behavioral Health, but we're adjacent to a cemetery. And we walk through the cemetery at lunchtime. We eat for a half hour, then we take a brisk walk. And I've been walking with the fast women. There are the slow women and the fast women. I normally walk with the slow women, but I need more good cholesterol. And so that's a small thing I can do it. Like I didn't break my my legs to do that. And so see if you can think of 3 tiny changes you can make in your life that might help you achieve the goals. But it's easier to move from 1 push-up to 2 than it is to start at 10. Because if you don't make 10, you feel like a failure. You might get to 10 eventually. But you want to start right where you are, at a place where you know that you can be successful accomplishing the goal. How are you guys doing? Do you need much more time? A little more time?
I'm good.
And I guess rather than asking people to participate and then making everyone uncomfortable when we're waiting, if you feel like giving feedback at any time, like raise a hand and unmute yourself. Otherwise, I'm going to keep on with the blah, blah, blah. So the next one I find harder than the other ones. I would like you to look at each of the tiny goals you've set and think of the supports in your life, the informal supports, which means the human beings. And think about whether there's a human being that might help you accomplish that goal. And the more human beings you can come up with, the better. And you shouldn't make them yourself. And they should be people. Now, I'm not going to follow up and check up on you, but they should be people that you feel comfortable calling them up and say, hey. Well, so for example, I told the fast women I was walking with them. And that I wanted to walk briskly, and my goal was to get my good cholesterol number up. and they know that. If I'm going to drag behind, they'll pull me and say, we want good numbers. Someone brought in beautiful, beautiful cupcakes with peanut butter icing and Reese's peanut butter cups on top. And my people said, you know, you want good numbers. You have to let us eat the cupcakes, Michael. And so whoever your supports might just be accountability supports. They might be people that you call and say, you know, I walked with the slow folks today. Or, you know, I didn't meet my goal today, or I did meet my goal today. Hooray. Or they might be people like my supports that are actually walking with me. If you're having trouble identifying supports to help you with your change goals, then when we get to number 4, which is going to be community, you're going to have a change goal that says, I'm going to put myself out in such a way that I'm going to start meeting the good people. Because it's very telling if we don't have people, and life goes that way. And it doesn't mean that there's something wrong. It just means that you should set some doable goal about creating more supports. I'm going to move on now. The second completely arbitrary sphere of well-being that I've identified is your mind. And I would like you to take a minute to take an inventory of your mind, starting first with what's working. What do you like about your mind? What is your mind doing which nurtures your well-being? How are you using your mind to make your life better? And then the second part of the inventory is, what would you like to add to that list? What's something you would like to start doing with your mind that you're not doing now, or something maybe you would like to stop doing which you are doing now? What's a habit of the mind that could foster well-being? Take a few minutes to think about tiny steps you can take to help you make changes with your mind. I connect periodically with my friend Philip from high school, and he does the New York Times mini crossword and competes to get a better score. He always does get a better score than I do. But last time I saw him, I decided I'm going to do that New York Times mini crossword. It's free on their website. And he's on my leaderboard, and so I see his time. He must do it at midnight. He must get notified at midnight that it's up, and he does it. And he does it in like 20 seconds, and it takes me like a minute and a half. But see, there's a tiny thing I can do, and there's a support I can do it with. I beat him. I did one in 28 seconds this week, and it took him over 30. And he wrote me a text message. He said, "Whoa!" And I wrote him back, and I said, "Yup." So we have these little tiny goals that we can do to improve our well-being for our mind. And now we want to identify helpers. Who's going to help us do these things? who's going to support us. And I don't need to tell anybody here that last question I ask, and I'm asking it every time, who are the helpers? Who are the people that will support you in making change in your life, is critically important for people recovering from cancer. That having a support network is a big deal. And being able to identify people that we've lost touch with, strengthen relationships that have grown weaker, intensify the good relationships. That's all very good work for healing. And that's what we really want here. That's what, if we pray, that's what we're praying for your full recovery and for your comfort and ease.
I think sometimes at least for me, outside is just like controlling the mind's thoughts. You know, if there's something physical, I could exercise more, even though I exercise less, or I could eat less, but I like to eat the cupcakes. But with the mind, the challenge of keeping anxieties or fears or sadness, like depression or withdrawal, in check.
So I use curse words to describe that phenomenon. I call that voice in your head by various bad names. Because this is a family program, we'll call them the bad guys. Right? So a quick show of hands, how many people have the bad guys in their head that are telling them that they'll never do it, they're bad, that you're just awful human beings and you deserve all the bad that befalls you? You know those guys, right? I want to just quickly blow by two interventions for that. One, I heard a podcast with a psychology professor at University of Michigan. It's on the 10% Happier podcast. The guy's name is escaping me. It's Ethan somebody. And it's called Distant Self-Talk. And his theory is that your self-talk is too intimate. That person is too close to you. And they take liberties. They say things that they would never say to a stranger. They say things they would never even say to a friend. That person inside your head is mean. We don't mind that person is demanding. We mind that they're malevolent, right? Am I getting it right, Chendel? That person in your head is just mean to you. And so what he does is he encourages you to channel a voice of like a stern English teacher, or he uses his wrestling coach from high school. And his wrestling coach makes demands. He goes, "Come on, E-Man, you can do this. You've done this before. Don't give up." Like that kind of thing. Like, it's not exactly soft and sweet and kumbaya. It's the wrestling coach. But it's not that voice in your head that says you're a complete failure. You never do anything you set your mind for. What a loser you are. Why do you even try, right? That's what the bad guys say, right? That's a familiar, I had that. Do you, that's, when I've had a good day at work and my wife says, "How was work today?" I say, "I didn't suck so bad as a therapist today." That's a good day for me. So that's like how my bad guys work. And so I want to give you permission to acknowledge that we all have that voice in our head. But if we make it take a little distance, he also, you'll notice the Ethan, whatever his last name was, he uses the third person. It's not like I can do this or I'm such an idiot. He uses this other voice that can address him in the third person. And he thinks that I'm freezing on a word, developing a third person structured and disciplined voice that encourages you to be your best. If you can talk to that voice in your head. So like when that voice comes up, you go, you could be a little nicer than that. I do pretty well and I can respond to some structure, but there's no reason you have to be mean. And so that's one, is distant self-talk. The other one, it's a mindfulness intervention. And this is funny. Well, with the mindfulness, what happens if you do it a while, you find that there's steps of insight. Like you do it differently as the years go on. And one of the instructions that mindfulness teachers give you is focus on your breath. You'll find that you drift away from the breath. You might think about a physical sensation or a thought or an emotion. Give it a name. Tara Brach says, thinking. So like the thought comes up, you acknowledge that you're thinking and you label it thinking. And then you let it go on its way. If it comes back, you do it again, thinking. Does anybody have a guess about the time of day when these thoughts come up the most?
I would say when you're tired at night.
Yep, when you're laying in bed and you're exhausted and all you want to do is sleep and you're thinking about that girl you didn't ask to dance at the 8th grade dance, right? But like everything you've ever done wrong starts coming up, right?
Yeah.
And these are just thoughts. These are just electric currents going through your brain. Oh, good. Thank you, Jody Schwartz. You're my hero. And so those thoughts come up and there's an electrical current going through your brain. It's not necessarily true or meaningful or helpful. That girl in the 8th grade doesn't remember me, much less that I didn't ask her to dance. It's not a big deal, but this thought could keep me awake for hours, right? And so you label it thinking, and then you let it go on. You restore your focus to whatever's happening in the moment. So if I'm meditating, usually I'll use my breath because that's the easiest point of focus. When I'm laying in bed, I think about the points of contact between my body and my brain. So if I'm trying to sleep and I'm having invasive, nasty thoughts about myself, I just do a quick scan and I notice my heels are touching the bed and I feel the pressure and I feel my calves along the bed and my quadriceps and my buttocks and that's where my focus is. So 2 interventions for the nasties: distant self-talk and tagging negative cognitions, negative thoughts. The third completely arbitrary sphere of well-being that I've identified is emotions. And so start by thinking about ways your emotions are functioning well for you, the way your emotions are doing their job. They're letting you express difficult complexes within your body that need to come out, or your expression of emotion is nourishing a positive sense of well-being. And whenever you're ready, move on and start thinking about the more challenging question. What could be better? What do you wish were going a little better emotionally for you? And as you finish with that, start identifying tiny little strategies, little very doable tasks that will help you strengthen the emotional sphere of well-being, help you nourish your emotional self. Now, the one about the bad guys in your head, that's a tricky one because that could be your intellectual self. It could also be your emotional self. You know, if they're really mean. And now for each of those goals, identify someone who's going to help you. Someone that you would feel comfortable texting after you get off of this Zoom meeting and saying, hey, I just did this well-being inventory. And I decided that when I feel like crying, I'm going to send you a text. Is that okay? Or when my emotions are getting the best of me and I think it's getting in the way of my healing. When I'm getting too angry at the world and I feel that life is just too unfair. I'm going to give you a call. Is that okay? Or maybe even making an advanced anticipatory plan. Like, you know, I always get upset on the weekends when blah, 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 blah. How about on Saturday at 2 p.m. if you come and drive by and pick me up and we go get some ice cream. Ice cream always makes me feel better. If I'm not trying to get my blood work better. Now on this fourth category, I called it community. Sometimes I call it relationship. Sometimes I call it spirituality. It could be whatever you want. If there's a part of your life that you're really very interested in right now, it could be really specific. It could be, you know, my relationship with my significant other. It could be my parenting skills. I've encountered one of the ways I've worked the most with cancer survivors during my career is doing family therapy with kids who are mad at their mother for getting cancer but don't know how to say it, and they misbehave as a way to provoke more motherly behavior. It's really a nasty, nasty tricks that kids do. But if you're coming at it from the perspective of the mother, you might anticipate it, and you might make category 4 parenting. You might make it partnering. You might make it work life. You might make it volunteer life. There, you see, these are endless, and so you know the routine now. This is the fourth and last one. What's going right in this fourth area of well-being for you? What's something that brings you joy and nourishes you and makes you feel better? I just realized I never give as an example of this organizing my closet or something like that. Like, I suppose for some people, one of the spheres of well-being would be keeping a neat office space, or and you can't see it. Let's see. Like, that's never one of my spheres of well-being, but I understand for other people that's very important. And so, like, keeping an orderly environment in your home or in your office might be a sphere of well-being. And so, has everybody got some things that are working that you feel good about, that nourish your sense of self? And now the next one is looking for things that you think you could add to that list in the next couple of days, weeks, months, years, decades, lifetimes. And I've completely spaced out. Did we just do what could be better, or did we start doing tiny steps?
Tiny steps.
Okay, then we're coming up with helpers. Who's going to help you make these changes? Thank you. Let me know when you're ready. Good, 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 good. And so now you have before you 4 sets of tiny doable goals. And I'd like you to impose a kind of order on them. Now, the order, my choice for order would be pick the easiest one. The one that you absolutely know you could get done quickly, and you have a helper for. And like, if you have them written down, put a star by it. If they're in your head, make a mental note of it. My experience of hearing people speak like this is that if I leave and I get one thing out of it that I remember for a long time, then that's a great deal. Like, could you imagine if 2 years from now someone says, hey, do you know this guy Mechaton? And you went, oh yeah, I started drinking 2 cups of coffee instead of 3 every day for him. And I kept that habit to this day. Everyone would say, wow, that guy's a genius. How did he get you to do that? Like, if you get one of these things, it's a huge victory. And sometimes, so that I like the easy one. I describe myself to new clients as a lazy therapist. I like
I think Michael has frozen.
That's what I was just going to say. I think he might have frozen.
Michael, if you can hear us, you are frozen. Looks like Shandell might be frozen. I wonder if the WellSpan network is Slow.
That's a good point because it looks like Laura's frozen too. So it looks like until they come back, Kim, why don't you go ahead and start your part of the presentation?
I will absolutely do that. I am Kim Kreider. I am a health educator in community services along with Nikki Fickle. And give me just a moment. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, here we go. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about behavioral health platform called MyStrength. And I just need to move some toolbars out of my way. So MyStrength, can you, first of all, oh, I can't see anybody. Can somebody unmute and just let me know you can see my screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, perfect. So MyStrength, like I said, is a behavioral health platform. And you are going to be able to access this for free via this presentation using a code called START. So if you sign up for MyStrength, and you can find that either by going to mystrength.com on your desktop or laptop, or if you have a smartphone, you can go into, I have an iPhone, so I know it's the App Store. I think Androids are maybe Google Play, but wherever you would go to get an app, it would also be MyStrength. So either way, you can get to it. And you would sign in and you would be asked, typically there's a cost involved, but there's also a field for a free like promo code, and you would use START in all capital letters. And we'll send this out after the presentation. So once you sign up, and when you go through the sign up process, you will be asked a series of questions, and that just allows the software to really kind of cultivate a dashboard that is meaningful for you. So I already had an account, so I can't really take you through the sign up process. But once you create your account, go through all the questions, and you have your dashboard up, it's going to look something like this. So right now, my personal struggle is sleep. I'm struggling with my sleep. So you can see that's what's being recommended for me. And there are different programs that you can have. So this is my personal page here. Mindfulness and sleep, improving sleep, no judgment. But I want to come over here to explore. And I timed out, so give me a moment. All right, here we go. So we're coming to explore, and if, as you can see, there they are. So there are several categories, and I'm going to scroll through all 6 of them. So the first is building resilience, and then there are conditions, substance use disorders, navigating life, physical activity, and treatment approaches. So there's a wide variety of things available on the MyStrength app. I'm going to scroll back up and look at managing depression. So I'm just going to click on managing depression, and you'll see, I've just got to move some things around on my screen so I can see. So bear with me. So you can see that there are now categories within that category. So under managing depression, we have take a new approach, find purpose, relate to others, get active, and let's see, we will just click on joy and meaning just because I was attracted to the yellow sunflower. So once you click on one of those icons and topics, you're going to begin, you'll have a lesson. And so it walks you through a series of steps. In this case, it happens to be a video, and there's the video transcript. And I apologize because I have to keep moving things around in order to navigate across the screen. So you can, continue and go through each lesson at your own pace. Or you can come back, look at other, and sorry, it's slow to load. I'm not sure what's happening with, oh, Nikki, now I'm getting stuck. Oh no,
Technology, don't you just love it?
yeah, I'm completely frozen here. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a second, come back and see if that works.
And I think the point of this presentation or this resource that Kim's showing you is that we're offering this for free for you guys. So anyone that has joined this presentation gets this opportunity for free. And we will send this information out with the evaluation. And Kim, it looks like Michael and Shandell did come back on. So
oh, perfect. So you
technology to work.
Yep. So you have
over
the
to them.
gist of my strength. Again, Nikki mentioned we'll get the details to you. I just wanted to bring you through what that looks like and what there's tons of different resources within the My Strength app and more being added all the time. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Michael or Shandell, and I'll stop my share. Michael, you're muted.
I know that that there's been a lot of quiet and reluctance to answer the feedback question. I'd really like to hear from a few of you, like did anything surprise you about this exercise? Like did anyone come up with anything interesting?
I really liked the small steps. I thought that was something that I'm thinking, why didn't I think of this before? It just is a common sense way to approach things just in those little bites so that you don't feel more overwhelmed than you already do with whatever your life is giving you, overwhelmed with your own thoughts or your whatever's going on in your life. But taking those small steps and finding small things that are going to help you, because when you put all the small things together that are helpful, you've actually created a support system that lasts the whole day long. So that's one of the best things. I'm taking so much, I took a lot of notes, but that's one of the best things that I really will want to pass along to others that I encounter in my job and for my own peace. I think that was one of the best things that you gave me.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other surprises, feedback, opposing points of view? So a resource on the small steps. There's a nice TED talk by this guy named BJ Fogg, F-O-G-G. He's a Stanford behavioralist, and if you Google BJ Fogg's small steps TED talk, it's the one I like. He's wearing a green shirt. There are two of them. It's about 18 minutes long, so it's like a really nice resource. It's something I don't feel bad about sending people home and saying, watch this, and then come back and talk to me about it. And that's where there was a comedy movie about taking baby steps. So like this idea has been around forever, but BJ Fogg has done research and does a really nice presentation. Anybody else? I've been curious about these people whose faces I can't see. No. Okay. Well, we're near the end of our time. Chanel, do you want to take it home?
I can. I really appreciate the opportunity for us to step back and to be able to look at where we are, not just from the eyes of someone else, but from our internal self, trying to see where we are, and also in making our small goals, but each time reviewing who could be our people. Because depending upon situations, we can find ourselves being able to reach out to somebody different. So instead of looking at who is my resource, and that being whether it's a spouse or a best friend, our support system can be much wider than that. So I really appreciate the exercise to allow us to think on broader terms, and then to bring that home with the resource that Kim, thank you, Kim, for sharing that information, to also allow us that opportunity to do some extra looking at other resources, helping us to see what applies to us, stretch our minds, and just be able to expand the support, not just from the people on our list, but the goal with the survivorship is that we can find other survivors even that may be able to share and really understand where we're coming from, and be able to exchange some of those ideas and be there in new ways for each other. So thank you for your presentation, Michael, and Kim for sharing the resource, Nikki for coordinating all this, and everybody, thank you so much for your time. I hope that this was something that will help you to have that resource and be able to use some of the framework that we learned as we continue to embrace tomorrow with our successes and our goals. So we will be sending out the questionnaire. We really appreciate your feedback. What is helpful? What was challenging? I'm sorry for the glitch for at least myself with kind of losing connection there. But we're doing this as in hopes of benefiting others. So since you're our others, any insight that you have would be greatly appreciated. So again, thank you all so much and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah.